This is a picture I took from a corrupted SpongeBob Squarepants bootleg tape. The tape itself contained around 4 episodes, albeit in the wrong order, from the second season, and had quite possibly the worst quality I have ever seen in any VHS, with extremely coarse video and audio that sounded like it was muffled by a pillow. The quality, however, is but a major smudge compared to what I got myself into after discovering this picture's meaning. I found this tape in a library section at Goodwill, as I like to shop for old treasures every once in a while. I don't ordinarily buy VHS tapes, but this one in particular caught my eye with how mysterious it came off to me at first sight. On the side was a label written with pen, and it read, "To Georgia Jefferies." It made me wonder, was this a personal belonging that someone brought here either out of anger or an accident? I have read cases of people taking their wedding videos or family photos to this place, so it was no different. I thought that maybe I could return it to its owner, so I purchased it with my debit and headed over to my dad's place. After all, he was the only guy I knew who had a cassette player. I'm sure as hell not buying one just for the sake of curiosity. After a rough setup process, I put the tape in and pressed the play button. Imagine my surprise when the SpongeBob intro showed up. The damn video slid so much that I could barely make out the first few frames, but it eventually stopped and played as normal. One small thing I noticed was that the Nickelodeon screen bug wasn't in the corner of the screen, as if this was some sort of retail copy rather than a television recording. The first 3 episodes were done and dusted, and dumped came up. It went on as normal, Gary staying with Patrick at his rock, SpongeBob getting jealous, and so forth. It was fine, up until the scene where Patrick showed up to SpongeBob's house for soap. Remember that one scene where SpongeBob asks if Gary wants fresh scent or heavy duty, but then he stutters halfway through duty due to his sad state? Well, that rewinds twice in the video, and the audio spikes awfully hard, to the point where I thought the tape was more damaged than it already was. The stuttering bug halted, and SpongeBob's eyes instantly distended until they were swelling, filled with dread and confusion. He dropped the soap he held onto and pivoted to his left. Patrick and Gary had disappeared, leaving behind what seemed to be an actual transparent image of something on SpongeBob's sandy floor. That something being a dirty, stained pair of black gloves. SpongeBob gulped and began to heave as if he recognized where those gloves came from, but at this point he didn't sound like he normally would. More like someone from a slasher film trying to escape from the killer, if that's a good enough way to describe it. Seconds later, his puffs slowed down, and he eyed upon his door. Looking behind him, and then to his right, he made his way over to the steel hatch and turned the knob, taking a peek outside. What followed was found footage of a random area, the time and date of its recording on the bottom left, resembling a grassy field, blowing away in the windy setting, with a road in the front and a plentiful number of trees in the back. The video stood completely still, with no sign of its holder anywhere. No hands, no body. Nothing. The video chittered and jump cut back to SpongeBob glancing out of his door. His eyes weren't circular anymore. They were structurally correct, from the eyelash to the pupil. Making his way back inside, he positioned himself back to where he was when the strange scene started. Idle, yet shuddering, his fists clenched until they whitened. SpongeBob had no holes in his face, nor did he have a nose, but along with the natural-looking eyes, he gained a human mouth with misaligned teeth. The shot had this heavy, rotting pasteurization effect, and a specific line from SpongeBob during the original scene echoed on a never-ending loop, mixed with the line where sounds of SpongeBob's loud sobs. "I am a wreck without you," over and over and over. Various random words flashed on screen, spaced out between sets of ellipses. Uncommonly specific words such as television and yogurt, before the tape finally ejected from the slot. Upon seeing what I had just sat through, and all the bizarre stuff that came from it, I had to know who this Georgia Jeffries woman was, and why this was being sent to her. I just had to. I needed all the answers I could get. I tried a good handful of methods, making a Facebook page asking friends in my area if they know someone by that name, encouraging them to spread the find, and even checking online phone books. By sheer luck, I managed to find one person, a 37-year-old woman, living in the same town as me. Her phone number, address, and previous information were listed. I ultimately decided to visit her house to hand over the tape, as I felt like calling her over the phone and not knowing what I looked like would come off as less friendly. To put it simple, yes, it was the right person. For reasons I honestly didn't expect at all. She asked me what was on the tape, and I informed her of everything that I saw. When I got to the part involving the grassy area and the random words, she looked like she was panicking out of her mind, while trying to be quiet. I asked her what's wrong, and she told me to repeat what I mentioned to her. I told her about the exact details I saw and, just for added measure, what words I remembered seeing. Here is what she said to me. On February 2nd, 2012, a finger belonging to her 6-year-old son was found near a field about 3 miles from her home. Shortly after, a DNA test was made, and the results were given back to her. The location was similar to what I had described. Her husband didn't take him to school at the time he went missing, as he was sick, so his son had to take the bus, or at least, that's what they thought he did. A missing persons report ended up being filed when he never came home. Elf, elephant, yogurt, rat, and yo-yo were some of the words I saw on screen. She told me that he dressed as an elf for Halloween a year before the case. Yogurt was one of his favorite snacks to eat. Red was his favorite color. The elephant was his favorite animal. And his favorite toy was a yo-yo that he would carry to recess when he got bored. She still had that yo-yo. His favorite show in the whole wide world had to be SpongeBob. He would go straight to watching it after school whenever he finished his homework, and at times even went on about how much he wanted to be like him growing up. When her son was found, it was a nauseating sight. In the woods, he was found dead and drenched in rubbing alcohol, in an underground cellar by a few teenagers. Limbs were bound with duct tape, along with his mouth. They also discovered a small safe pressed against a metallic wall. Not only was everything touching the safe covered with rubbing alcohol, including the money inside, but a lone pair of rubber gloves were also found on top of it. When locals that dwelled near the area were questioned by police if they had witnessed anyone in close proximity to the woods, many replied saying that they didn't remember seeing anybody go near there, let alone spot a single individual outside. Those who did see someone reclaimed witnessing a person in winter attire. The case went cold. Disgusted, I offered to take this tape to the police for her. She begged me to do it, and rightfully so. What else would she have done? The authorities brought it over to their interrogation room to watch, and they asked me the usual questions, like how she knew this was linked to the death of her child, for starters. We paused at certain frames, manually rewound a few times, and I pointed out the things I brought up. That's when I noticed something I had completely skimmed over. The words that were shown on screen at the end weren't just this poor kid's favorite things. Upon taking a closer look, the first letter of each word formed something when put together. A hidden message. They are lying. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, because there are more chilling tales to be told. Also check out my other social media profiles. The links for those are down in the description. Thanks for listening.